Good evening. So glad you're joining us tonight for what I have to say may be one of the wildest stories I have ever reported.
Today, we have a special guest, Kinoryncha, on our show, Worms of the World. Hello, Kinoryncha. Thank you for being here today. How's your family doing?
Thank you for having me, and my family is doing great. It's growing so large now. There are now over 150 species under my phylum.
Wow, that's fantastic. Well, let's dive right in. In the press, we see you've been hanging out around the tropic waters. What have you been doing in that part of town?
Well, you see, Diane, the tropics is the new place. I found the one place that has the best mud to dig in. Don't get me wrong, though. I still love my intertidal to deep sea waters. I'm just a very versatile worm.
Well, that's great to know. Any food there that makes it special?
Well, Diane, you know I'm a picky eater. I tend to stick with the usual diatoms, bacteria, and algae.
So, Kinoryncha, I heard you got a fat lip in that fight with your best friend, the nematode.
I'm doing okay, though. My mouth cone can still extrude fully, and my 9 oral styles are still able to thrust into my food material, but my pharyngeal bulb is having a little trouble digesting.
I'm very sorry to hear that, but let's move on. You obviously know you have a great body, being featured on Worms Fitness and being featured on Worms Sexiest Body of the Year. How do you stay in such good shape?
Lately, I have been sticking to my strict diet as well as moving my spines on my head and not just my body. I think it's about balance. Not everyone knows that our heads can shoot out and lunge forward. Lunges are the key.
Can we talk about your breakup with humans? How are you doing? How are you?
I'm okay. I'm just trying to get through each day. All I want to say is I would prefer to keep them very, very far from me. A distant relationship, you might say.
I'm very sorry about that. So, is there anyone you're trying to impress with that body?
Oh, Diane. You know I like to keep my personal life personal, but I'll let you in on a secret. There is a man back home. Of all the males and females in the world, he makes me so happy.
So, do you think there's any mini Kinoryncha in the future?
Of course! I love children. It is amazing seeing my niece grow up so fast. She has 11 segments minimal as a juvenile to 13 segments in adulthood. My nephew, on the other hand, is in the leptodemus stage. He has grown from 6 to 7 segments to 8 to 9 segments. Just the other day, he was a centrophyte, and then a hyalophyte, and now adulthood. It's so nice to have my family so close. Luckily, we don't migrate around like my friends' families do.
It is amazing how close you are to your family. Do you mind if we ask about them?
Go right ahead.
Me and my family are pretty close, but we've had some fighting going on lately. My second aunt, twice removed, died, and there's been a big legal battle. Susie thought she was the most closely related, but Uncle Georgie thinks he is. Anyways, it's a mess.
Don't I know it? Now introducing Dr. Oriana and Dr. Lauren from the genealogy department. They're going to tell us a little bit about how Kinoryncha and her family are related.
It's so nice to be here.
It really is.
Let's get started, shall we? So Kinoryncha originated approximately around the time Nemotomorpha originated. This is possibly as long as 350 million years ago. According to the published tree, we hypothesize that Kinoryncha originated from the same common ancestor as Nemotomorpha. More broadly, we hypothesize that Kinoryncha originated from the same earlier common ancestor as Arthropoda, which includes the crayfish. According to our data matrix tree, which analyzes morphological characteristics, Kinoryncha is most closely related to the earthworm, or Annelida. But on the published tree, you can see that Annelida is in the blue clade and Kinoryncha is in the green clade. This is a large difference compared to how closely related they appear in our data matrix tree. In the published tree, Arthropoda is most closely related to Kinoryncha. As you can see, they're both in the green clade. The published article uses genes, or molecular data, to create their phylogenetic tree. The difference across the trees in terms of the most closely related taxon may be caused because we compared our data matrix tree to their tree, which is based on genes.
You're not wrong, Dr. O, but I'd argue that the closest relative to Kinoryncha, according to our gene expression tree, is Echinodermata and Arthropoda. Comparatively, the closest relative to Kinoryncha, according to our data matrix tree, is Annelida. This would be a sister taxa. When inputting the data for the data matrix tree, we were unsure of which part of the nervous system to include. There were multiple components of some taxons' nervous systems. Because of this, it was hard to decide which feature distinguishes the taxons from each other. This means that the way we classified the nervous system of each taxon may have influenced the organization of our data matrix tree. Another factor may be that in the 16S rRNA RNA sequence, there were a lot of nucleotides that could be looked at to distinguish one taxon from another. This is a lot more information than the characteristics we had to distinguish taxons from each other in our data matrix.
Well, what a mess that is. Aw shucks, we're out of time. Looks like Kinoryncha has a legal case on her hands. Stay tuned for more on that, and we will see you next time on Worms of the World.
And with that, thank you for joining us. I'm Diane Sawyer. For all of us here at 2020 at ABC News, good night.